Today we're going to talk about boundary strainers and chain strainers. Oh my gosh. Oh, take that in, because there's two here and there's three here. What does what? What's the difference? And which one are you looking for? We're going to talk about boundary strainers first and what makes them a boundary strainer. You're going to use these boundary strainers in conjunction with your strainer boards. It comes with a 3-meter chain. The only differences between these two, the chain is the same length. One comes with a flat hook, one comes with a snap hook. Both of these chains, they do swivel. They swivel at the end of the chain. They also swivel at the walker itself as well. So here's your flat hook. There's your swivel right there. Even though the hook is a lot bigger, it's the one that I use on my strainer board, and it's a lot easier to, has a lot more movement there. It's just a personal preference thing of which one you want to use. They're both great things, and that is the only difference between these two, a flat hook and a snap hook. Both receiving ends for the chains for the boundary strainers, they both come with a hook. So you can hook around the post, your pole post, and then you can hook your other end of your chain to your strainer board. The snap hook can tie into a chain link rake if you're going to be using your boundary strainer for stretch and chain link. Just like so, you can hook those two together and then walk this down your chain to go ahead and stretch your chain link. The snap is the weakest part of that, so if you're not careful, it is easy to go ahead and kind of break it and tweak the spring. Once that spring is tweaked, it doesn't like to work as much anymore. Boundary strainers are typically used for stretching off of your strainer boards or stretching off of your chain link rigs. Something that is longer and needs a lot more pull. Notice between the two that you have a lot more handle there for a lot more leverage. You're probably going to be pulling a lot harder with this one, and that's why they give you a lot more handle. And obviously a lot more chain. So here is the walker for all three chain strainers that I have displayed on the table. Here's all three chains that come with all three of these chain strainers. All three chains are the same. All three of them have a swivel right here, right at the wire grab. That is one thing about the chain strainer, is it is a wire grab. You can stretch tension wire, barbed wire, or even a high tensile wire. Maybe if you've heard of a goldenrod or something like that, this is the newest and best thing since one of those. You would insert your wire right here, and as you pull, it pinches that wire and grabs it on each side. There's a wire grab right here on the end of the chain. There is also a wire grab on the end of the walker itself. All three chains are the same. There's nothing too much special about them. At the end of the chain, it is just an open chain. If you didn't particularly like that, you can always get a hook and put a hook on the end of it so you can hook it to something, or you can hook it back to itself to hook into the pole post that you're trying to pull on. The main differences between all these is in, I call it the chain walker, is in the walker itself. So the walker for the chain strainer. These two are the original chain strainer. This one has a spring and this one does not have a spring. I like the spring because if your chain is straight, it's gonna walk itself. You move your handle, it takes the next bite and it grabs that next link of the chain. You walk it back and it grabs the next link on the bottom. The only downfall about the spring, it just takes a little bit to get started. So to get that chain in there, I think that is why some people don't like this. They don't like the spring because it does take that little bit to feed that chain in there and get it started. This one right here, it moves freely. There's no spring in there. So you're gonna have to walk it and then use your hand at the same time to go ahead and make sure that you're gonna have to latch that jaw of the walker on the top chain and then latch the bottom jaw on the next grab. There are the two original chain strainers. One with spring, one without. It's the biggest difference there. And then here's the last one, the RX2. Oh, looks the same just as everything else. It has that spring in there again. It has the same wire grab. The handle is just a little bit smaller, but there is something that the RX2 can do that these other two can't. You can actually take your handle off to the point where this stays on your wire, and if your handle is in the way, you could unscrew your handle to go ahead and just be able to work right next to your wire. The one walker that we don't have here is the walker that also has a swivel grab right here at the walker itself. It has a swivel right here, and it has a swivel on, again, the chain strainer. It is a helpful hint that when you're using these, to make sure that your chain is straight, because then you got to start untwisting your walker and follow that chain if your chain is not straight when you're trying to stretch your barbed wire, your tension wire, or whatever have you. Can you take the chain from a boundary strainer and use it on a chain strainer? Yes, you can, because all this stuff right here is all the same. The chain is all the same. It's the same chain, different hook, different head, different purposes. But if you're on a really long run of tension wire or barbed wire, you can use this. If you need more pull length, you can use this on your chain strainer walker. But you cannot get the 3-meter chain with the chain strainer itself, but you can use them together if you had both of them. You can also get an anchor chain to wrap around your post that will work with any of these. It's a separate chain that you can purchase, and it has 2 leads connected into it. You would go ahead and use one leg of that chain to go ahead and tie into your pull post, while you use this one to put on your chain walker itself, your chain strainer. So this is a secondary option if you needed it. We wanted to go ahead and show you how we're going to use the chain strainer. One way you can use it as you would use a goldenrod, or one way you can use it is just tying off to the post. Right now we have this loose. So as you can see, the wire goes through the wire grab. As it pulls, it compresses it, grabbing onto that wire. We're gonna walk that chain walker down the high tensile wire. See how it latched in right there? Because of that spring, it latched right in. So as you can see, this wire is really tight. Before we let off of our chain strainer, we're gonna go ahead and put our gripple on there. To let off of our chain strainer, we're gonna push the opposite direction you would if we're gonna grab another bite. We're gonna walk it back. And we are done. We're just gonna go ahead and trim those wires nice and close. If you're gonna do a top wire, instead of having that, I would probably go ahead and recommend crimping it. I have one last chain strainer to show you. This one has the hook on it. It does have the spring in it as well. We are going to wrap the chain around the post, hook it back to itself. Looking down the chain to make sure it's straight. And we don't need a ton of slack here because this wire is going to get tight in just a second. We'll go ahead and use the T-gripple to terminate the wire. All we're going to do there is we're going to slide the T-gripple and connect it back to itself, trim off our tail, and now we will go ahead and let go of our chain strainer. The anchor chain, sold separately. Notice there's 2 legs to the anchor chain. You're gonna hook into one leg while having the other leg free. So you're gonna take one leg, hook back to the hook. Then you're gonna use the wire grab on the back side of that chain walker. Grab into the wire. So if you were gonna stretch from a post, just like I did, you're gonna use the anchor chain, and then you're gonna use the wire grab that's on the back side of that chain walker. Holy moly, mind is blown, I know. You're gonna use this if you're gonna stretch in between a run. Or, what you can do, is you can put a hook on the end of this, and you don't need the anchor chain. Or if you wanted to, the other thing you could do, you could also do that too. You could run it through itself. There's a handful of different options, handfuls. Until next time when we get with it on Gadget Corner, this is Dan with SWI, and you have a good dang day.